Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of What If Civilization Started Over. Let's get right into it. So, we're going to be starting this episode off in where else besides Greece. And I actually wanted to go to Greece in the previous episode. I wanted to go to Greece in the previous episode, but it was getting kind of long, so I decided let's do it in this episode instead. So, as you can see, Greece is a religious mess, and it's not like this doesn't even give justice to what a religious mess it is. Like, I'm just gonna add some more random pockets of other religions because it is like kind of realistic to the extent that I want Greece to be kind of a religious mess. Because as of now, Greece has actually managed to stay remarkably stable due to being a secular kingdom. If we look at the ideologies layer, they're secular. A lot of the yellow religion majority of Greece is going to be upset with the pink religion minority because the monarch is the pink religion. Like, the monarch of Greece is the pink religion. And Turkey is going to come in and say, hey, we want you to, protect, we want to protect the yellow religion majority of Greece. So if they start rebelling, we're going to help them. And Greece, basically the monarch of Greece decides, hey, I'm going to convert to the yellow religion to try and stop that. And you would think that would work, right? But instead, and you probably could have seen this coming, the pink religion is going to revolt. And I think it's fair to use the pink color for the pink religion. And then, to make matters worse, as soon as the pink religion revolts, the blue religion will also revolt. And then the green religion will follow suit. And finally, the red religion will also follow suit. And because of this, I'm going to color the main part of Greece in the yellow religion. Actually, no, I'm not. So the main part of Greece basically has has four religions that it has to fight against, but they do have Turkish support. So at first, they're going to be doing quite well. They decided to first focus on the pink religion, wiping out. So they first wipe out this pocket over here and fully eliminate any sense of dissent. Then they're just going to take out the rural areas first, and that actually manages to succeed, as these areas kind of generally stop rebelling. Let's see. So the red religion is going to do some invasions, taking over a lot of southern Greece, while Crete kind of just declares their independence and doesn't actually collaborate with the other blue religion area, instead just kind of declaring themselves to be independent, making their capital a thing, and just kind of being their own country. But I'm going to change their color. So Crete will be dark blue. And they are a theocracy. And in fact, all of these rebellions aim to create theocracies in Greece of their own religion. But now Turkish support is really going to start flooding in to stop more of those from happening. And so these two areas, and you can barely see that the blue religion is getting crushed, but it is. These two areas are going to get pushed, as well as the red religion getting pushed back. So that's nice. The blue religion is actually going to make some progress, although you really can't see this. Give me a sec. Okay, I'm going to make the blue religion areas this color, so you can actually see when they're being invaded. But no, this is still the same blue religion. But anyway, they make a comeback and start actually being able to invade, and actually they capture this city from Greece. So Turkey starts sending some even more support, and Turkey and Greece. The leader of Greece marries the daughter of the leader of Turkey, so that they're anticipating a union. And because of this, all of a sudden the pink religion majority areas in Turkey will start rebelling, and Turkey has to withdraw a bunch of their troops. So just as Greece started losing here, Sparta, which I'll call the southern Greek country because that is where Sparta is going to start doing massively well. This little outpost here is going to start doing well. And this city, the green religion, is also going to start doing well. And basically, Greece has just fully collapsed, as the leader of Greece has fled into Turkey at this point. Turkey is actually doing a pretty good job of clearing this up. And instead of crushing the pink religion, they're trying to say, hey, we're a multi-religious state, you don't have to rebel. And they eventually finish. But by the time they do, Rome has started their own invasion into Greece for the purposes of keeping it remotely stable. But eventually Greece is just holding out in the east. And at this point, Russia, which is not really Russia, but I'm calling them Russia, they get involved. And eventually it's just like the pretty much modern day Turkey. I think this area is called Thrace. This region is all that's left of Greece, and eventually they'll sign peace with all of the powers that invaded them. So let's see what happens. Okay, so this is what the treaty looks like. The leader of Greece decides to abdicate early and therefore unite their kingdoms together to keep Turkey and Greece stronger. Then I just used the old Greek color for a new country, Sparta. And meanwhile, we have a new country, which I'll call Corinth, even though I know Corinth is like here, I think. But I'm going to call them... I'll just call them Northern Greece. Then we have Albania here. Yeah. We'll have Northern Greece here, Albania here, and I'm going to call this country Serbia, because I think a lot of their land is in Serbia. So Serbia is here. And these are their ideologies. So as you can see, they're all theocracies, at least all the new states are. And they all have the religion that is associated with them. And if we go to the religion layer and turn off the ideologies layer, what we're going to see is there's going to be a mass exodus of yellow religion people. So there's still going to be a minority, but they're not going to be a majority anywhere. So each of these people are each of these countries is kind of going to separate based on religion. And a lot of yellow religion people are going to flee either westward to Rome, which is going to get rid of this group, or eastward, which is going to get rid of this group and make this pink minority feel even more oppressed. And then in terms of cities, Rome is going to get a few refugee cities over here. Russia is going to get one, and Turkey is going to get even more cities, making them by far the most densely populated country in the world. They were already, but now they're even more so, as a few more cities are popping up in their territory because of two separate refugee events having fled into their country. But the success of the theocracies in Greece is going to lead to something else happening. And it's actually going to happen over here in Egypt, because as you can see, there's a sizable red religion minority and a sizable blue religion minority within Egypt. And, well, yeah, these regions are going to see how successful the Greek theocratic rebellions were, and they're going to rebel away from Egypt. And unlike in Greece, where it was kind of a back and forth, Egypt is not going to be able to deal with these rebellions. If you'll notice, this is the exact land that Libya was when it existed, so this is basically just a Libyan country. I'm going to restore Libya to their old color. Meanwhile, this pink country is of the red religion. And you can't really see it, so actually... There we go, that's better. And they're invading up the Nile. And Egypt is actually going to be somewhat able to deal with them at first, but it is still a two-front war. But two things are going to happen to change that. Actually, three things. So one, these guys are going to start supporting the theocratic rebellion in the south, and that's what's allowing these guys to do so well against what used to be the second most powerful country in the world. Definitely isn't anymore. Second of all, the first most powerful country in the world is going to start an invasion into Egypt, almost capturing Alexandria, like, very quickly. But we'll see how that goes for them. And thirdly, another revolution is going to start. And this one is a yellow religion revolution, as they want their own theocracy. And these guys are going to put the nail in the coffin for Egypt's government as they start expanding and taking cities. And their appeal also happens with this city and this city deciding to join up with the rebellion. And with this, Egypt is kind of like they're dead. They are forced to withdraw from a lot of this area. They completely withdraw from here to try forcing back the Mesopotamians. But that just allows the theocratic rebellion to go even bigger as it like officially spreads to all of these regions. And with that, any hope that they had of like maintaining control of these regions is also gone. As Libya starts pushing eastward, these guys start pushing northward, and Mesopotamia starts pushing westward. But then Mesopotamia will receive its own theocratic rebellion, which quickly takes these 2 pockets of land that weren't actually the religion. This is the Teal religion, which is also the major religion in Saudi Arabia, but they are secular and vehemently opposed to theocracy. So these guys want their own thing. And just to make things even worse for them, their sizable green religion minority will also start rebelling. So obviously Mesopotamia is immediately going to withdraw from Egypt, but that doesn't stop Egypt from being forced to sign peace with all of the invaders. So they sign peace with Libya, but the revolutionaries don't care, and they go up, capture Alexandria, kill the king and all of his family, and officially restore Egypt, but now under the control of them. And they now make deals with the other 2 theocracies. So let's see what those look like before we go into Mesopotamia. And these are the new borders after the war. So we have 2 new theocracies. So they do need capitals. These guys will have their capital right here. And these guys will have their capital not where the capital used to be, but instead in this city, which has now become the most important city within their country. Okay, so now we go to Mesopotamia, where their green religion areas are rebelling, and that is pink. And then their teal religion areas are in yellow. And in fact, they actually just end up, after 2 more cities are captured, they end up just giving independence to these guys because they really care about their capital region and in general the pink rebellion. So they start pushing back, and being Mesopotamia, they're still able to, as well as having Persian support is going to make it easier, as Persia will start invading these areas, allegedly to help Mesopotamia, although it's not clear whether they actually plan on giving them back. And this is interesting because Persia actually is a different variety of the green religion, but still the green religion. But they care about secularism more than they care about the religion. And with that, the biggest chunk of the pink religion is wiped off the map. But right as they start getting rid of this section of the green religion, an interesting thing will happen. As although these guys are a theocracy of a different religion, the new Egyptian government will start an invasion of Mesopotamia, combining Egyptian nationalism with theocracy as a way of basically saying, like, we are not going to let this slide. And they bribe these guys to break their peace treaty with Mesopotamia and start invading again, which the capital kind of just goes up in flames to the point that it's kind of not even a city anymore on the map. Like, it's that bad. But a large portion of this region starts rebelling, and Persia will just quietly take the land it already has and leave the war. By the time it's done so, it looks like this. And no one wants to invade into Persia because they are probably the new strongest country in the world. It might be West India, actually, but let's just say things are not going well for Mesopotamia, as the Pink Religion Rebellion is once again gaining steam, with all of its former regions pretty much being back under the control of them as they start taking land away from these guys. They also start an invasion up into eastern Turkey, and eastern Turkey is like one of the weaker countries in the world, so they don't have the power to stop this. And at this point, Mesopotamia has been overrun by green religion people, and at this point, they just have like escape base pretty much to the Caucasus. Like these regions are no longer under their control in any way, so they've kind of just retreated to the Caucasus. So now they're trying to hold out here. But Russia's going to make this decision easy for them as they start an invasion into Mesopotamia. This is kind of like what they did in Greece. And at this point, the Mesopotamian government completely collapses. So let's see what the new peace treaty looks like. Okay, these are the new countries. Let me just make the ideologies for them real quick. Okay, these are the new ideologies. As you can see, these guys are yellow religion, so that's what I had to do to showcase that. But yeah, all of these ideologies I have already said. As for the religion layer, it's actually not going to change that much despite all of the new theocracies, because unlike the theocracies in Greece where it was really bad, in here it's not so bad that they need to... It's not so bad, like, religious tensions aren't so bad that they need to, like, clear people of other religions. There's probably just, like, a tax for being a different religion than the main one. Okay, that's most of what I wanted to do for this episode. I kind of wanted to just make theocracy become a more viable ideology, as a huge number of theocracies have just popped up over here. But in the East, I want to do something, so I'll come back to you with that. Okay, it's a week later, but I finally think I figured out what I want to do. So, in Korea, as you can see, they are this orange religion, whereas the Chinese state next door, which I'll call North China for now, although yeah, we'll just call them North China. They are the light orange religion. And the people who fled to Korea and created Korea were people of the dark orange religion living in North China when North China got created. And so they're kind of unhappy with their secular government. And like obviously the common people wouldn't know this, but the elites hear of the news of theocracies taking place all over the world, and they really like the idea of forming a theocracy. And so, without any civil war or anything, they simply oust the monarch and just simply make Korea into a theocracy. However, it's not that simple, because the old Korean royal family flees to Japan and decides they're going to stay there because they don't want to they realize they're not going to actually be able to come back and get Korea back in their control. But what they do with this newly controlled Japanese territory is they start exploring the rest of Japan, to start expanding their current kingdom and hopefully eventually being strong enough to take back Korea. So by the end of this episode, they have land around up to here. And in terms of cities, some new cities will form there, and there. And we need to get these guys their ideology. And of course, they will be a monarchy, because they're literally just the old monarchy of Korea fleeing to Japan. Okay, a few more things are going to happen. So, the news of the spread of theocracies is also impacting this area of this orange religion, which will start to rebel from both the Burmese country as well as the North Indian country, in the hopes of creating an orange religion theocracy similar to that of Korea. And they actually are really strong because they are being supported by a bunch of countries, including East India, the Yangtze country, as well as actually Thailand, which is interesting because these guys are secular. But anyway, these guys are quite successful, especially because the Burmese country is probably the weakest country in the world at this point, despite not being that small. And to make things even worse, Thailand starts taking advantage of this. So Thailand also starts taking advantage of this, which might have been the reason they were supporting this rebellion in the first place. North India signs a treaty with the rebellion quite early on because they don't really want this to get out of hand by too much. So they give up a decent amount of land. They were actually planning to sell this land over to the Burmese country anyway, so they're not really that upset about losing it. Yeah, the Burmese country is probably not going to survive past this episode, which I don't think anyone's going to be upset about because I doubt it's a popular country. So, yeah, let's just say it is not doing very well in this war. And although China actually literally despises the theocracies that are kind of, it feels like, encroaching upon it, it realizes it needs to take advantage of this opportunity, and so does, as the Yangtze country also does this. And even North India realizes that it might as well take advantage of this opportunity. So finally, all of the powers meet to divide up Burma. And so this is what the division ends up looking like. In terms of religion, these guys are actually pretty much the most strict theocracy in the world, in terms of it is illegal to not be this religion, and they start like literally killing people for the crime of being the green religion. This actually is an interesting effect because it means that lands that used to be majority orange religion are going to have so many refugees that they're now majority green religion. So this is going to be areas in what is now China, but used to be part of Myanmar/Burma. And because of this, there's also a massive refugee crisis. So a new city is built here, but these two cities, which were previously majority green religion, are just completely not functional as cities anymore. And it leads to a massive refugee crisis all along the borders of this empire, where a lot of new cities are getting created. simply because they don't want to be part of this country. Is, I'd say, the worst country in the world. They are extremely strict theocrats. Okay, let's return to Western Europe because Rome is really struggling to fund its colonies across the Alps, and they realized it was a silly idea to have these anyway, so they decided to give each of their 3 separate regions independence, like so. And from there, they're going to expand. So Britain is going to expand and take a large chunk of land over here. Only 1 new city will pop up in the realm because not that much time, like only about a decade is passing, so it's not enough time for a ton of new cities to pop up. France, which was never part of Rome, but still is here, is going to basically take over all of the Alps, which no one's living there, but they claim it and no one else claims it, which means they de facto control it, not only de jure. Rome themselves will actually start exploring a little bit into here, as more of Central Europe will be, this is real Eastern Europe, will be explored. And Russia has a push to go all the way into here, and yeah, they massively expand their realm, with a few more cities popping up throughout. This is actually Ukraine, but the country itself has its capital in Russia. Anyway, northern France will also take charge of some of their own exploration, exploring the lowlands, and they will conquer much of the lowlands. And I think this map that I'm using actually has like the modern Dutch borders where they've reclaimed some of the sea, so we'll just say northern France does that around this time. But yeah, northern France has decided to become a theocracy when it gains independence. Okay, and with that, I'm going to end the episode here. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.